Thanks for stopping by Pete's Garage. Okay, let's start to wrap up the 440, starting with the valve covers. These are some original 1969 valve covers that I cleaned up and primed just for the dyno testing, and there is no sealant on any of these gaskets here because these valve covers will have to be removed during tuning for lash adjustments and spring removal for the break-in. Now the water pump housing with some sealant on all of the sealing surfaces, put on the water pump housing and torque everything down to 30 foot-pounds. Now the water pump goes in with the weep hole facing down. A little sealant on all the mating surfaces for the gasket, and I'm only torquing this to 20 foot-pounds because the bolts have a lock patch on them which holds them in place. Pipe plugs with some thread sealant on them go in all the holes that are not going to be used. I'm just going to set the thermostat in place with the gasket without tightening the bolts down because the thermostat will need to be removed for dyno testing. The nipples for the hoses for the heater core go in with a little sealant on the threads. Now the distributor goes in by lining the tab on the bottom of the distributor with the slot in the intermediate shaft. Put it in place and try and mark where number 1 is going to be so you can rotate the housing so the rotor is pointing towards number 1 plug on the rotor cap. And it's held in place with the distributor clamp. Now I can put the fuel line on the carburetor and some fittings on the fuel pump with a short line and a filter, then a fuel line to go from the filter up to the carburetor fuel line. Now we do the vacuum lines. Grommet for the PCV valve and a hose to go to the back of the carburetor. Smaller vacuum line goes from the bottom of the carburetor to the vacuum advance on the distributor. Last, I'll put the breather in place. This is where the hose goes from the breather to the air cleaner. Now that it's all assembled, I'm going to do a quick compression test to make sure all the cylinders are the same. Put the plugs in, put on the plug wires, hook up the wires for the Pertronics unit and put on the coil, and we'll be ready for testing. Thanks for stopping by Pete's Garage.